Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw, upon insistence from Satyavati, sage Vedavyasa blessed Ambika, Ambalika and Ambika's Dasi, the maid servant, with 3 children. They were tarāṣṭra, Pāṇḍu and Vidura respectively. They grew up learning all the skills to become able statesmen. When it was time for them to get married, Satyavati asked Bhishma to go to Gandhara Desha and ask for the princess in marriage to Dhritarashtra. The princess was Gandhari. The reason for this? Gandhari had received a blessing from Lord Shiva saying that she would beget 100 children. The thought in Satyavati's mind, they will have no scarcity for heirs. When Gandhari came to know about the proposal, knowing that Dhritarashtra was blind, she said she will blindfold herself too. With a cloth, she blindfolded her eyes, saying that she does not want to enjoy a faculty of worldly pleasures that her husband could not. With that thought, Satyavati had asked Gandhari's hand in marriage for Dhritarashtra. A blindfolded Gandhari was brought to Hastinapura. She was married to Dhritarashtra. After a while, Pāṇḍu was married to Princess Pritha, who was also called Kunti. He married another lady by name Madri also. At this time, Satyavati said, "Let us announce the king for the kingdom." Because of his blindness, Dhritarashtra could not be king. So Pāṇḍu was appointed as king to the throne. One day, King Pāṇḍu went to the forest for hunting. He shot an arrow at a deer, and unfortunately for him, sage Kindama was also there. He shot Kindama and the deer at the same time. So just before dying, sage Kindama cursed Pāṇḍu. He said, "The moment you touch a woman, you shall die." A dejected Pāṇḍu came back to Hastinapura and narrated the whole story to everybody in the palace. He said, "There is no point in me being king. I cannot get heirs anymore. I will retire to the forest." Saying so, he went away to the forest. When Pāṇḍu said he wants to go to the forest, the kingdom again would be left without a king. Dhritarashtra, the blind person, was appointed as king's representative, not the king, but the king's representative. Just with that, Dhritarashtra was extremely happy. He always had a secret desire to become king in his heart. He would always curse his luck that he was not able to be the king. Now that Pāṇḍu was going to the forest, he was happy to be on the throne, even though as a representative. When Pāṇḍu left to the forest, his 2 wives Kunti and Madri accompanied him. After a very long time, they were all worried about the kingdom. Gandhari was pregnant, but she did not deliver for the longest time. Here Pāṇḍu could not beget children because of the curse. At that time, Kunti remembered that she was given a blessing from sage Durvasa. What is the backstory? The backstory is at a time when Princess Pritha was still not married. Sage Durvasa had come to their kingdom and she had served him with total devotion. Seeing her devotion, sage Durvasa blessed her with a mantra. The mantra was to beget children. Being a seer, Durvasa knew the impending difficulty she would have in life. So he had blessed her with a boon. The boon was she could pray to any of the devatas, the demigods, and get blessings to have children. Being a young girl, Pritha did not believe that. She thought she wanted to check it out. One morning, when she was by the river, she saw sunrise. Looking at the rising sun, she chanted the mantra that was given as a blessing to her by sage Durvasa. Lo and behold, Bhagavan Surya appeared in front of her. He blessed her with a baby boy, and that baby boy was born resplendent with a shield of gold and earrings as well. A very scared Pritha did not know what to do. She was a youngster and who was not married also. She was suddenly scared and she did not know what to do with the baby. She took a basket, put the baby in it and let the basket float in the river. On the other side of the bank, the baby was found by a charioteer, Atiratha. He took the baby to his wife, Radha. They brought up this baby as their own without knowing whose son he was. On the other side, Prutha carried on with her life, not mentioning about the baby to anyone. She had gotten married later on to Pāṇḍu. Now, when Pāṇḍu could not beget any children due to the curse, Kunti thought she could use the mantra and get children. She shared about this mantra she had got with Pāṇḍu and said, "This way we can have children too." Pāṇḍu was very happy with this. What do we learn from this story? A couple things. In the previous story we saw when Satyavati was restless and insisted on sage Vyasa to bless the daughters-in-law immediately, that was a big mistake. She should have refrained from doing so. Because of her urgency, a blind Dhritarashtra and a sickly Pāṇḍu were born. We do that many times too. We are in a hurry to do stuff and end up compromising on the quality of our work. That is something to remember. Because of her urgency, Dhritarashtra was born blind and he could not be the king to the throne. He had this regret and feeling of intense jealousy all his life. That was a big problem too. When we harbor feelings of jealousy, envy, or regret in life, we end up making huge blunders just like Dhritarashtra. Kunti in her past was given a mantra. That mantra, without believing in the sage's words, she wanted to experiment. Due to that experimenting, she had a baby boy. We will learn later on that this was none other than Karṇa. And Karṇa had to live a life of an unknown because of the urgency and inquisitiveness of a young Pritha. Many times, with urgency of doing what we are doing, we mess up the work, and also by not believing and waiting for the right time, we end up troubling lives of other people too. Hence, the takeaway from this story should be that we should have patience. Another factor also to remember from this story, King Pāṇḍu, without thinking, he shot at the deer and ended up killing a rishi. As the proverb says, sped arrows and spoken words cannot be taken back. We may not be hurting people with arrows, but we may be hurting people with our speech unintentionally. So we have to be very mindful about how we speak to people also at all times. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om!